Update. Am I the a-hole for telling my mother-in-law that her generous offer was actually a manipulative way to control my life? Original post. This is a dumpster fire right now. Okay, so I, female 30, am engaged to my fiancé Mark, male 31. We're getting married in 6 months. Mark's family, especially his mother, are a bit much. They're quite wealthy and traditional, and frankly, mother-in-law has a habit of trying to micromanage everything in Mark's life, and by extension, now mine. The big drama started around the wedding venue. Mark and I found this beautiful, slightly unconventional place that we both absolutely loved. It's an old restored theater downtown, exposed brick, a bit quirky, totally us. It's also pricey, but within our budget if we make some compromises elsewhere. We were so excited. We told mother-in-law and father-in-law. Father-in-law was reserved but seemed okay. Mother-in-law, she visibly recoiled. Her dream, apparently, was for us to get married at the same exclusive country club she got married at, where all their friends have weddings. She started immediately listing all the problems with the theater venue. Parking will be a nightmare. It's not sophisticated enough. What about the acoustics for the string quartet I was planning? We weren't planning a string quartet. Then came the offer. Mother-in-law sat us down and said very formally that while she and father-in-law were disappointed we weren't considering the country club, they understood it was our day. But because the theater venue was so much more expensive than what they had budgeted for, which we never asked them to budget for, we had our own budget. They would graciously offer us a substantial sum of money, enough to cover about 40% of the theater venue cost. It sounded generous, right? Mark thought so. I was immediately wary. Mother-in-law's gifts always come with strings. I thanked them, but said we had our budget covered and would be fine. Mother-in-law got this tight, almost angry look. She said, "Nonsense, darling. A wedding should be a celebration, not a financial stressor. We want to do this for you." She kept pushing. Father-in-law added that it was a genuine wedding gift, no strings attached. Mark was beaming, thanking his parents profusely, saying how amazing they were. I felt cornered. Eventually, I caved and accepted, still feeling uneasy. Later that week, mother-in-law started sending me links to florists near the country club, links to bakers who only delivered to the country club. She started asking about decor choices that would only make sense at the country club. When I gently reminded her we were having the wedding at the theater, she'd get flustered and say things like, "Oh, right. Well, this florist might make an exception. Or it's just so much easier with vendors who know the traditional venues." The final straw came last night. We were at their house for dinner. Mother-in-law brought up the venue again. She said, "Now, about the ceremony flow at the theater. I was thinking it might be easier to have the reception at the country club after, just the reception. You know, for dancing and easier bar service." I snapped. I looked her dead in the eye and said, "Mother-in-law, with all due respect, this stops now. We chose the theater. We love the theater. Your generous offer wasn't about helping us. It was about buying control over our wedding to force it into being your dream wedding at your preferred venue. You didn't give us that money to help us have our day. You gave it to try and manipulate us into having your day." The table went silent. Father-in-law looked horrified. Mark looked utterly stunned, and then furious. Mother-in-law's face crumbled. She started crying, saying how could I be so cruel, that they were only trying to help, that I was ungrateful. Mark jumped up, yelling that I had massively overstepped, insulted his parents, and ruined the evening. He said I was being paranoid and that their offer was genuine, and I was just being difficult and unappreciative. We left immediately. Mark is barely speaking to me, saying I owe his mother a huge apology, and that if I can't be respectful to his family, maybe we need to rethink things. Mother-in-law is apparently distraught. Part of me feels justified because I truly believe her gift was manipulative and a way to leverage control. But another part of me is reeling from the fallout. Did I handle it badly? Should I have just accepted the money and ignored the suggestions? Was I too harsh? Am I the a-hole for calling out my mother-in-law's offer as manipulative control instead of just accepting it quietly? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Info. Are you sure the venue you chose is what your fiancé wants? He might be using his mother to make his point if he's turned his anger on you here. He has never suggested otherwise and has been enthusiastic talking about the venue I chose. Your fiancé is an idiot, but he's been manipulated by his parents his entire life, so he cannot see the forest for the trees. You did right by sticking up for yourself against her passive-aggressive behavior. Just know that it will never end. Consider that if you continue with the relationship and wedding. Yep, it starts with the wedding, and then it's your house and/or children. You will never be independent of his mother or family. Your mother-in-law isn't the problem, but your spineless fiancé. I think you should take your fiancé up on the rethinking things. Not the a-hole. Give him the ring back. You think she is bad now? Just wait till you have kids or God forbid you decide to be child-free. Good on you for calling her out. And if Mark can't see what they are doing, he may be kind of dense. Now for the update. It has only been 2 days since that dinner, but it feels like everything has unraveled. Mark and I barely spoke after we left his parents' house. I tried to explain where I was coming from again, calmly this time, but he shut down. He said I embarrassed him and hurt his mother. He kept repeating that I was being dramatic and ungrateful. It felt like I was talking to a stranger. Then yesterday, I found out something that broke me. A friend of mine saw Mark having lunch with another woman. At first I told myself it was probably innocent. I wish it had been. But when I confronted him, he admitted it. He has been seeing someone else. It started a few weeks ago, and the worst part, it was someone his mother introduced him to. Someone from her country club circle. She kept telling him this girl came from a better family and was more compatible with the kind of life they had planned for him. He said it was not serious, that he was confused, that I had been so angry all the time and he felt pushed away. I could not believe what I was hearing. I asked him if he ever truly wanted to marry me, or if I was just the easy choice until his mother pushed him to upgrade. He did not answer. So I ended it. I packed a bag and left. We had not sent out invitations yet. The venue can still be canceled, mostly refunded. What hurts most is not losing the wedding. It is realizing I was trying to fight for someone who would not fight for me, who let his mother control him to the point that he let her hand him a replacement. I am heartbroken, but somewhere deep down, I also feel relieved. I would rather walk away now than stay and become someone small enough to fit inside their picture-perfect frame. Thank you to everyone who commented before. You helped me see that I was not imagining things, that I was not crazy for wanting to protect the life I was trying to build. You didn't lose a partner, you lost a puppet and his puppeteer. Proud of you for choosing peace over performance. Best wishes, OP. Thanks for this. I really appreciate it. We had something similar except my husband has a spine. Basically, his dad and partner offered us $5,000 for our wedding. We could come to them with expenses. They would decide if they want to pay for it, and then if anything was left over, we could have it. My father-in-law has a history of gifting things to look nice for appearances, and my husband was not comfortable, so he turned them down. 5 years later, they were still complaining we didn't let them pay for something. When my husband told me this, I said, if it was truly about helping us, they could have gifted us the money. They chose to gift very little. Because it was not about helping us, it was about control and congratulations. My parents, they cut us a check and said spend it on whatever will help. When you want to help, that is what you do. My in-laws' gift to us was to forgive the debt my spouse accrued since turning 18. Every stick of deodorant, oil change, pair of socks not purchased for Christmas, etc. was kept in a spreadsheet without his knowledge. Freaking weirdos. When he was 16, my father-in-law gifted my husband a car and then told him what he owed for the monthly payment, gas, and insurance. Basically, for his 16th birthday, my husband received a major financial obligation. He didn't have a job and he had not asked for a car, so the whole thing was a surprise. Father-in-law wanted to look generous without giving. Hence why the no to giving wedding funds. Man, I have a friend who had almost this exact thing happen to her, except the breaking point for her was the wedding dress. The mother-in-law offered to pay for the dress, but would veto every dress except 80s poof vests. Eventually, she put her foot down, paid for a dress herself, and the mother-in-law set her son up with a nice girl from church. My friend sent the new girl a "good luck, you're going to need it" and left him. The new relationship didn't even get to the girlfriend stage, and he spent 4 years trying to get my friend back. It didn't work. I looked him up last night. I called him this morning and caught up with him a little bit. He moved about 1,000 miles away because his mom was too stifling and he needed a change. Said they have a much healthier relationship now, that he only sees her a couple of times a year and only talks to her around once a month. He bought a restaurant and ran it with his then girlfriend, now wife, but lost it during COVID. Now he's running a bike store and has a kid and 3 dogs. He said he was an absolutely massive freaking idiot back then, but is glad it turned out how it did, because otherwise he wouldn't have his current kid and life. He gave me permission to post this. Good for her. I hope she found her happiness either being single or dating. Next story. Am I the a-hole for calling my grandparents' failures as parents, grandparents, and people when they blamed my mom for my dad's kids going into foster care? My dad cheated on my mom when I was a toddler, and when my mom found out about it, she filed for divorce. My dad's mistress was already pregnant by that point, and it made things tense. Though I don't remember too much of them interacting. My dad and his second wife, the mistress, had 2 kids together. When I was 6, my dad got arrested for assaulting the guy my mom was dating at the time. And I mean, he brutally assaulted him. He was arrested on the scene and charged pretty fast. His wife dumped the kids on my grandparents and ran off. I guess they found out later she had died, but I'm not totally sure on when they found that out. I don't even know why they never kept my dad's other kids, but I know CPS got involved and put the kids in foster care. And I know my grandparents looked for my mom to take them in and raise them with me. My mom refused, and that was the end of it. They spent a lot of years in foster care. My dad served time until I was 16 and then he was released. He got the other kids back after a year or 2 of working with CPS or something. Don't ask me all those details. I just know what my grandparents said. I haven't seen or had any contact with him since I was 6, and that's the way I plan to keep it. A couple of times he almost went back inside because he was harassing my mom and even threatened her one time. I'm 19 now. I don't have much contact with my grandparents, but the last 2 times I heard from them we fought. They were saying all this nasty crap about my mom and blaming her because dad's kids were abused by several foster families and were left with all kinds of trauma. They said mom was gross and disgusting for letting them go into care. And they said the fact I hadn't spent any time with the kids at all since my dad was arrested is further proof that she's a disgrace to motherhood and personhood. I think they expected me to hate my mom like they do, to agree with them. But I don't, and it angers me that they were blaming my mom. So the second time they started that nonsense, I told them it was not my mom's responsibility to take in those kids and raise them, and there were loads of other people to blame. They told me I should not defend my mom, and again said she was a failure as a mother. They said if she had loved me, she would have wanted me to be raised with my siblings. And the fact I don't even call them that is loudly showing her failures. They said if she loved me, she would have loved them for me and raised them and kept them safe. I told them if they wanted to assign blame, they should look at the people actually in those kids' family, starting with dad, their mom, and them. I said all 3 of them had a duty to the kids my mom didn't. I said they were the failures. They were failures as parents to raise dad to be who he is, failures as grandparents for letting their grandkids go into care, and failures as people for blaming others for what their son ultimately set in motion. They got offended and scolded me over the phone. I ended up hanging up on them, but from what I got, they said I lacked empathy and compassion. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You are correct. Why would they even think it's your mom's responsibility to raise the kids not related to her? Where were the grandparents? And why didn't they step up? The kids' family and the system failed these kids, not your mom. I'd go low or no contact if they keep up this BS. They believe my mom had the responsibility because of me. She was supposed to want to raise us together and to love and take care of them because they're half-siblings to me. It doesn't matter that she was nothing to them. All that mattered was that mom owed them for that reason. My grandparents had them for a while. CPS took them into foster care, but I don't see why my grandparents couldn't figure out a way if they were so concerned. Not the a-hole. You nailed it perfectly. Seems they are the type of people who think they never do anything wrong and blame others for it. Same way they raised your father who could never do anything wrong. Of course, I am sorry for the kids, but they are not your mom's or your responsibility. All you do is share 50% DNA with them. Nothing more. Of course, my dad was their innocent little boy and he did nothing wrong. He didn't deserve what he got, and none of this is about his actions. How crazy for me to say otherwise. Last story. Am I the a-hole for kicking out my girlfriend's friend after she insulted her for breastfeeding? I, 30 male, live with my girlfriend Lily, not a real name, and our 3-month-old daughter. Lily is incredibly kind and always puts others first. One of her old friends, Jenna, came over last weekend after not seeing Lily for a while. I've never liked Jenna. She always makes everything about herself. While I was in the kitchen, Lily started breastfeeding our baby in the living room. Jenna suddenly said, "That's gross. No one wants to see that," implying it was inappropriate. Lily came into the kitchen upset and continued feeding there, visibly shaken. I was mad. No one makes the mother of my child feel ashamed for feeding our baby, especially not in our own home. I walked in, saw Jenna rummaging through our things, and told her to get out. She acted confused, so I told her I wasn't asking twice. She left. Later that night, Jenna called Lily and claimed I threatened her and said we were lucky she wasn't calling the cops. I took the phone, told her to never contact us again, and blocked her. I don't regret it. A baby needs to eat, and there's nothing wrong with a mom breastfeeding. So, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. In your guy's own home, and she was rummaging through your things? Exactly. Thank you. Our home should be a safe space, especially for my partner and our baby. She was out of line in so many ways, and I just did what I had to do to protect my family. She's lucky you didn't call the cops on her. WTF. Not the a-hole. Finally, someone who stands up for their breastfeeding partner. Jenna had no right to say anything in someone else's home. Info. What does Lily think about all this? Insane how this is being left out. At no point in the story does Lily have any say. Now, I'm not saying he was wrong to be angry, or even that I disagree with his actions, but if Lily didn't want this handled the way he did, then yeah, he's at least somewhat the a-hole.